Really thrilled about that. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Dolce, Sweet Morsels of Wisdom. So if you missed my 4th annual Ignite Your Purpose event, or if you're just curious about finding out about your own purpose, you are in the right place. We absolutely rocked it on Sunday at my 4th annual Ignite Your Purpose. We had attendees from all over the globe. And so I just really wanted to offer everyone the opportunity to enjoy the highlights from the event. So today in this session with you all, I am going to be covering what is purpose, how to find your purpose. I will do a live guided visualization around your purpose. And then we're going to really focus in on what makes you special and unique. So then after that, we are going to do some strategic planning around your purpose. And then we are going to create the mindset to stay the course. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry, I'm just getting some music lined up for that live visualization that we're going to be doing. And then finally, we're going to be creating the mindset to stay the course and achieve your big goals for 2022 through being connected to your purpose. So although Ignite Your Purpose was a luxurious 6 hours of deep diving into higher knowledge, my January 2022 Leadership Dolce right now, we're going to cover the top points in a very short amount of time. And if you'd signed up for the VIP lounge, which is right after this, and you still have time to do that, you'll be able to work with me one-on-one to discuss your own personal and professional purpose. So hello again. I'm Joanne Newborn. I'm a certified lifestyle and leadership coach with my company, Newborn Evolution. And I've found through my 18 plus years in my corporate career that honestly, there is a real lack of leadership out there in organizations. So I am incredibly passionate about helping career-focused individuals who feel frustrated, stressed out, and unfulfilled to really create that leadership mindset for themselves so they can attain their dream career with ideal salary and a luxurious, and I like to say guilt-free work-life balance. I also have my MBA from Penn State with Beta Gamma Sigma honors. I've earned my ACC credential from the International Coaching Federation, and I'm also a certified diversity, equity, and inclusion coach. So when I do something, I go all in 100%. So I wanted to just quickly talk about a quote that I really love. I want to start with this quote, and it's from Pablo Picasso. And he says, the meaning of life is to find your gift. And the purpose of life is to give it away. So I want to let that sink in for a moment. And I also want to let you know you're in the right place. If you wake up each day, maybe perhaps dreading going to the office or signing on to your latest Zoom meeting, or if you're counting the days until Friday, or you're finding yourself in the Sunday scaries because all of the stress of your job makes you feel unfulfilled and stressed out. And perhaps you're uninspired by the day-to-day from your organization's actual big vision. And maybe you're even considering quitting or trying to go somewhere else, or perhaps maybe even starting your own business. But what you wish is that you could love your career, but something's missing. So that being said, you're also in the right place if you want to feel fulfilled, passionate, and truly invested in your work. You want to wake up every day excited by the projects and the tasks and the impact that you're having at your company and in the world. And you want your work to feel satisfying, to feel valued by your organization and colleagues. And you want to feel driven by something that you can't quite name, but notice around you others making waves. So sometimes we don't need to quit or burn down the career that we've built to start anew or strike out on our own. Sometimes we do need to do that, but sometimes we just need a little clarity and direction to embrace the leader that we want to embody. And doing this requires us to ignite our purpose. So we're going to cover three things today. First, we're going to clarify. So using my visionary process, you will discover your purpose today and leave with a new perspective on your career, including how it folds into your everyday happiness and joy. And you'll get clarity and an action-oriented process. And that is going to help you from stopping to rehash your limiting beliefs and remaining stuck in this place of dissatisfaction. So second, we're going to connect. You are going to walk away with an actionable plan that helps you connect with tasks and projects and take tangible steps to success. And you'll know how to utilize your newly discovered purpose in your day-to-day career journey. And then third, we're going to capitalize. We're going to work with the limitations that you may have around not believing in your purpose, so you can move forward fully and really get the most out of your time each day on your journey. Because, we can do all of this work and our minds can still say really, really awful things to us to shake our confidence. And I know this is universal, right? So let's dive in and really begin with the clarifying stage of purpose. Before I do that, I just want to quickly see, I'm going to go to my Facebook page. I just want to see if there's any comments or questions that are coming in right now. Okay, great. So let's talk about clarifying purpose. Here's another quote. I love this Mark Twain quote. The two most important days of your life are the day that you were born and the day that you find out why. So today may be one of the most important days of your life. Seriously. So what is purpose? Right? We hear this buzzword being thrown around a lot. Not your purpose specifically yet, but what is purpose in general? So I'm going to read a little passage for you. But before I do that, I do want to say that purpose is probably one of the most important things in defining who we are and our reality. And our purpose can be anything at all that you feel passionate about. So this passage that I'm going to read is from The Greater Good at Berkeley EDU. And it starts out like this, quote, "For decades, psychologists have studied how long-term meaningful goals develop in the span of our lives. And the goals that foster a sense of purpose are ones that could potentially change the lives of other people, like launching an organization or researching a disease or just teaching kids how to read. So indeed, a sense of purpose appears to have evolved in humans so that we can accomplish big things together. And so it's probably why it's associated with better actual physical and mental health. Purpose is adaptive in an evolutionary sense, and it actually helps individuals and the whole species to survive. So I think some of these things are just mind-blowing. So many seem to think that purpose arises from your special gifts and sets you apart from other people, but really that's only part of the truth. It actually grows from our connection to others. And that's even only part of it. So this is also monumental for me. So again, I'm going to say it grows from our connection to others, which is why a crisis of purpose is often a symptom of isolation. And I'm going to pause for a second here on this quote to say, like, we can show up at work, whether we're in the office or if we're on Zoom meetings, and we can be surrounded by many, many people and yet still feel disconnected because we're not connected to our purpose. So going back to the quote, once you find your path, you almost certainly find others traveling along with you, hoping to reach the same destination. This is a community, right? End quote. So this is much like us today. You will start to feel connected to others that are on this journey with us because we are starting to connect to our purpose and we're starting to connect to each other. So if you're in here in the vortex, this is a community of people that are evolving leaders, right? It's a great place to connect with others. So having a sense of purpose and knowing your purpose is also going to help you in your career. It's because you stand for something, right? You feel solid, you feel confident in it. And you can get through almost anything if you know your purpose. This is really, really key. And finding your community or your tribe is really important. So I really want you to keep that in mind as we go through this next, hour or so together. And again, I love to do research on the topics that I'm talking about. So it's not just me showing up saying, here's Joanne, this is what I think. I like to have some research to back it up. So also from the Harvard Business Review, I have a bit more on this topic. So doctors have found that people with purpose in their lives are less prone to disease. Wow. That again, another mind-blowing thing. Purpose is increasingly being touted as the key to navigating the complex, volatile, ambiguous world that we face today, where strategy is ever changing and few decisions are obviously right or wrong. So imagine if we didn't have to think so hard about every decision we make because we're aligned with our purpose and that gave us the answers. Like, wouldn't that make life so much easier? And the Harvard Business Review has actually done studies that have shown that fewer than 20% of leaders have a strong sense of their own individual purpose. And no wonder there's such a lack of leadership out there with fewer than 20% of leaders knowing what their purpose is. That is completely insane to me. But at the same time, I want to say, let's not beat ourselves up for this, because I didn't even know what purpose was, much less what my purpose was. So let's start to venture into our purpose, your individual purpose, and how to figure that out. So another quote, one of the saddest quotes I've ever seen, is from Oliver Wendell Holmes. And he says, quote, "Most of us go to our graves with our music still inside us, unplayed." It makes me want to cry, actually, because a majority of our days are just spent on autopilot, right? We get up, we take a shower, we make the coffee, we get dressed, and all of this is without thinking about how we do it, right? Our unconscious mind knows how to do this, and we're usually thinking something else. which means most of the time we're reacting to what happens in life rather than consciously choosing the direction of our lives. We go to work, we clock in, we pay the bills, repeat, right? Days and weeks start to blur together. We focus on what's urgent, right? We focus on our to-do lists, and we really forget to think about what's important to us. And years and even decades pass, and we look back only to realize of those things we wanted to accomplish and experience, maybe none of them ever happened. And the person that we dreamed of becoming and the life we dreamed of leading never materialized. So even if we think we're analyzing something really important, it's mainly our minds taking us on a trip to nowhere to keep us small. And most of the time, if we're spending time thinking about what someone else is thinking, it is a ruse from our minds to keep us off track, to keep us small, to keep us safe. And we can't really blame it because that's the function of the ego mind, right? And some of us are more familiar with this than others. But its function is to have us survive. So I read this amazing article about the Omicron variant the other day. And, the COVID virus is becoming weaker and weaker in order for it to survive. Because if it kept killing its hosts, it would in turn kill itself off, right? So in order for it to survive as a species, it must get weaker so that it can keep spreading. And it's kind of amazing, right? So I started to think, is that what's happening for us as well, right? In order for us to survive and not thrive in our lives, we just become these kind of watered down, weak versions of ourselves that we originally dreamed of. Ew, right? But that's what our ego mind does to us. It wants to keep us in survival mode, no bigger or better or badder than that. Okay, so let's do a little live visualization together around discovering your purpose. And then we can jump back into this. So I'm going to turn on some music here. And I'd like you to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Relax your body. Feel grounded. Relax from the top of your head down through your neck and shoulders, and take a deep breath. Relax your arms, your chest, your back, your stomach. Take another deep breath. Relax your legs and your ankles and your feet. Take another deep breath and just feel your entire body relax. And I want you to just let your mind wander freely as I ask you the following questions. And allow your body and emotions to just feel connected to the things that are arising for you. What did you love doing when you were a child, before the world told you what you should or shouldn't do? And how did that make you feel? What do you enjoy doing in your life now that helps you really connect to your heart? What does your dream life look like? Where do you live? Who do you encounter every day? Is there a particular cause you feel most drawn to, or a movement that you feel particularly compelling? If you could fix one problem in the world, what would that be and why? If you didn't have to worry about bills, could you do something every day just because you wanted to? What would that be? What do you love to do? And what are some things that you naturally gravitate towards? What are some things that you're just naturally good at? In the past year, what has been the most fulfilling part of your life? Where do you find peace? Where do you find joy? What has always come very easy to you? What are the skills, talents, or strengths that you were born with? What does a successful life look like to you? What energizes you? What lights you up? What do you love? What do you believe? What's great about you? And what's your purpose? I'll give you a few more moments to let your mind wander in this visualization while I'm quiet. Now take a few deep breaths and count backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And return to the room and open your eyes. If you'd like to take a moment to take a few notes in a journal or a notebook or on your phone and think about what came up for you, what felt aligned, what made you feel really connected and happy. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. I'm going to tell you a little secret. When you are aligned with your purpose, not only do you feel more fulfilled, the money will most certainly follow quite easily. There's an element of trust, an internal trust, which we will touch upon another time, but remember that. So we're concluding the clarify section of the day. Really begin to connect with what your purpose is or what that might be. And that takes us to the second part, which is connect, where we begin to really create a plan around our purpose. So I'll tell you a quick story about me. Not that long ago, I had an incredibly toxic and abusive boss, and it was quite awful and difficult for me to get up and go to work each morning. I felt constantly shamed humiliated, and often screamed at in front of colleagues. And it was so bad that it actually caused me to have a few stress-related health issues. I was in a high-level position with a very large company, so I really wanted to decide what my next career move would be without haste. And I was in the wine and spirits industry for many years, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it, but something was happening. As a coach, I know that things happen for us and not to us. And making a rash decision like quitting would have caused my survival instincts to take over. And I really wanted to make a decision based on what was best for me, not out of fear. And allowing someone to bully me to make a career decision was really a non-negotiable for me. So I had a long-term 5-year plan to become a full-time coach and entrepreneur, except that didn't match with the shame and the pain that I was feeling each day at work as it pushed me faster along in my timeline. And I could really feel the universe pushing me toward my purpose as I built my coaching business. And so it became clearer and clearer each day that I felt the pain from my job. And then one evening I had cocktails with a dear friend, and it hit me, my exact exit date. And suddenly my 5-year plan became a 1-year plan because I was already tapped into my purpose. So while I could be angry and despise my toxic, abusive boss, I actually was very grateful for him, because a year later, I made my vision of becoming a full-time coach into a reality, and I am living my purpose every day of my life, and my heart sings with joy. So being tuned into who I was without rushing in a survival-based urgency really helped me to discover and embody what purpose was and the timeline with which I was going to bring it all to fruition. So I had a vision, I had a strategic plan, and I had the leadership mindset to create it all. And so even though in the moment it may have felt like it was moving very slowly, I actually cut my timeline by 4 years. So the universe had put something in my path so awful that I had no choice. And so although I didn't, like, I know that in hindsight now, I didn't know it in the moment. I didn't know it consciously, but I knew the direction that I wanted to go in, and I just needed a roadmap to get there. So what was my plan? Right? And so my ego mind said the safe thing to do is to take 5 years, and that would give me the time to build up my income from my passion project. Except the universe knew that a 5-year plan was absolutely ludicrous, and I didn't know that. And so the day that I met with my friend and I actually said it out loud, that is the moment that it became a reality. And he was so supportive, which surprised me because he was a very sound and steady vice president at a bank. But he was saying, you must do this. This is the way for you. And it's almost like when I said it out loud, the whole universe conspired to help me. And that's not something I made up. That's from The Alchemist. And if you haven't read it, please do. It's a must read. So I started to write some game planning down here and there, and I started to get serious. And then something happened, a pandemic, which sent me into overdrive. And so no longer did I have to worry about a 3-hour commute. Something took over, and I was working from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. every night between my full-time job and then building my business up. And I had enrolled in a 9-month entrepreneurial business program to help me get there. And suddenly it was as if I wasn't in control anymore. And the planning was coming out of me like wildfire. And so it started with a few details on paper, and then it just took off. And so that's what I want to do right now. I don't want people to feel overwhelmed, but I do want you to think beyond the initial idea. So let's put some planning on paper. I would like you to think of 3 small actions you can take, and it can be more than 3, to lead you in the right direction. And they should be achievable and time bound, right? So the more specific and simple to achieve, the better. And I know that people kind of dread this part of the process. It is probably the least fun of all the 3 steps, but it's the actions that will keep us moving forward. So even when our mind swoops in with distractions and procrastination and confusion and dread, one of my clients said this very eloquently. She said, once this process becomes integrated into you, you just do it automatically. You don't even realize that you're doing it. So it does take a little bit of practice, like building a muscle. And so that's why I like to do this together with you, right? So just 3 small steps toward your purpose. And after that comes the more difficult goal, which is the stretch goal. Now, a stretch goal pushes limits. It's difficult to achieve. And most importantly, it takes you outside of your comfort zone. So it's important that you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. Lots of discomfort around these goals. And that's why it's really important to set up the smaller goals first. It's kind of like running a long distance marathon where you hand the baton to the next runner and the next and the next. One goal gets you to the next goal and the next goal and the next goal, and you finally finish at the finish line. Okay, so we are moving into the final section of this, which is capitalize. And I really like to say creating that leadership mindset of success. So we can have all this greatness going on. We can figure out our purpose. We can put our action plan in place, and then things start to happen, and great things will start to happen. You're going to feel amazing and euphoric and elated and in flow. And it's going to feel like you've been reborn. And then maybe something else starts to happen. And I'm not saying it will, but it may. Things like, I don't know where to start. You feel confused. You start to delay. You procrastinate. You feel like maybe you need more information to move forward. Like maybe you need more education or a certificate or a degree or something on paper to feel qualified. And maybe you don't feel ready. You get distracted by the next bright, shiny object. You have imposter syndrome and you want to hold out maybe and save all your coaching sessions for another time when you're going to be really ready. And maybe you think others are going to be better at it than you will. So I have a question for you. When you think about your purpose, and I know some of you have gotten caught up in figuring out what that is for a long time. When you think about your purpose, what has gotten in the way for you to either figuring it out or pursuing it in its entirety? Or can you think about past big goals that you've had and what stopped you? So I could probably do an hour or more on each of the topics that sort of come into our head to stop us around the mind chatter and the thoughts that trip us up and hold us back. But I'm going to just choose one to go into more depth with. And it's one of my biggest deterrents. So I'm going to talk about a syndrome that many of us suffer from. It's called bright shiny object syndrome, BSOS. And it's something that our ego mind does on purpose to distract us from moving forward in order to keep us small and safe. And it actually stops us from stepping into our own greatness. So here's how it goes down. You've defined your purpose. You're working diligently towards that goal. And oh my goodness, something suddenly amazing catches your attention, and maybe something else and something else after that. And suddenly you realize you have strayed very, very far from your plan, and you've gotten all tangled up in some other stuff that seemed absolutely brilliant in the moment. And now you just feel overwhelmed and confused. So what happened? Your mind distracted you with one or more shiny new objects. It happens to me too all the time. So distraction is just a form of resistance. So to back up my theory, I have something from entrepreneur.com, and they say at its core, bright, shiny object syndrome, BSOS, is a disease of distraction, and it affects highly motivated people, which we all are, and otherwise we wouldn't be here, right? We're all motivated people. So perhaps you're craving new technology and new developments, and you're not afraid to start new projects and create new things. So ordinarily, these are great characteristics. But when BSOS sets in, it forces you to chase after project after project, change after change, and never settling with one option. And it's called bright, shiny object syndrome because it is the equivalent of a small child chasing after shiny objects, right? Once they get there and they see what the object is, they immediately lose interest in it and they start chasing the next thing. And did you ever notice how there's a child in a playpen and they want to play with a set of keys or a cell phone while they have a whole crib filled with their own toys? It's that same kind of concept. So I've got 3 things that you may be experiencing from bright, shiny object syndrome. The inability to finish projects, right? When you get excited about a new project, before your first one is complete, right? You might jump ship before you can see any meaningful results. Could be poor planning on your ideas and directives. So people with BSOS tend to focus on the novelty of pursuing a given strategy rather than the whole strategy itself. And then the third piece is burning through cash, right? Investing in excess over and over in the next best thing that will bring you knowledge or more information or the answers that you're seeking. So how do we deal with this, right? Now we're aware of it. How do we deal with it? Well, I've got a few simple guidelines to ask yourself and a few ways to work with it. So the number one simple guideline is ask yourself, is this moving me closer to my vision or further away from my vision and my purpose? And an easy way to do that is just drop the stuff that's purely distracting you. And other ways to work with it is recognize that your mind is taking you on a wild goose chase to nowhere. Observe each time that your mind tries to distract you with something new and important when it has you putting your main priorities aside for something that is ultimately not as important. And so, if you say, okay, I still have a lot of items on my list that are moving me toward my vision. What do I do, Joanne? There's a lot of stuff here. Here's what you do. Prioritize. Which are the really important ones for me to do first? And then which are the ones that can wait a little bit, right? Our mind could even tell us, oh, this is really important when it's not, right? What is the must-haves versus the nice-to-haves? And can we put it in some kind of an order. And then the other thing is I'm a really big fan of data dumping. So I like to keep all my great ideas in one place so I can go back at a later time. And there have been things on my list that were shiny objects that I put on the list. And 3 months later, I haven't gotten to them next. And I've got newer, shinier objects that come along. And you know what? The ones from 3 months ago weren't even that great, but I keep them on the list for 2 reasons. First, just in case they do become imperative to move me forward with my goals. And second is to remind me that not all shiny things are good ideas. They could just be distractions. And when you see them later on, you can recognize like, oh boy, what was I thinking? That was just a distraction. So, okay. If this is resonating with you, all of this, and you would like to go to the next level of this, and you want to go to the how to put this all together to achieve your dream career with ideal salary and a luxurious, guilt-free work-life balance, I have a group program that is starting in 2 weeks. It is called the Leadership Transformation League, and we are going to take all of this to a whole new level. This is a group coaching program that meets once a month, where there will be a short lesson on developing your leadership style, your purpose, your personal branding. We will be using all 3 parts of my 3-part framework, which is designing your vision, developing your strategic action plan, and creating that leadership mindset of success. So this is all new material for those of you who have studied my programs previously or been in my past group coaching programs. So here's a sneak peek at each month. So like I said, it's 1 group coaching session per month, and it runs from February 22 through January of 23. And we're going to meet on Zoom. It's not going to be in Facebook or anything. We're going to meet on Zoom each month. And I am also going to have a LinkedIn group where people can go in there and ask me questions every single day. I will be in that group every day. So between our group sessions, you will be fully supported in your journey. So we're going to cover topics like who am I and what's my worth, visionary branding, your leadership foundational style, boundary setting and consequences, conquering imposter syndrome, learning how to speak up, some unlikely tools for success like emotional intelligence. We're going to learn the art of negotiation and how to bump up your income, and how to feel comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? Stepping outside of our comfort zone. How to utilize your feedback that you're getting to keep growing, and then keeping yourself accountable, which is really so important. And finally, we're going to be celebrating the shiny new leader in you as you've gone through this program for a year. So the cost is just $99 a month. I wanted it to be a very easy yes. And there's a few bonuses. Like I said, bonus number 1 is the LinkedIn group. I will be in there every day, so you can keep posting questions and challenges and wins. And there's going to be a real community of people there. Bonus number 2 is that you will get a VIP ticket to all of my leadership Dolces and Opera Dolces, where you will get more one-on-one coaching time with me. So this is highly valuable. So not only will you get coaching once a month, another time during the month, you will have the opportunity to be in the VIP lounge for more one-on-one coaching in a group setting. And so I will put the link to this where you can get more information into the chat. I'm going to do that right now if you're listening to me live, and you can find out all about that. And here's just a couple of things I really want you to remember today before we part ways. What is the commitment that you're making to yourself today? What action will you take? How will you keep yourself accountable to these commitments? Hint, hint, having a coach is a great way to do it. It's how I do it. I always have a coach. That's a lifestyle choice for me. And finally, What is your purpose? Thank you for joining me here today. I am wishing you all love, light, and leadership, and I will see you all very, very soon. If you have any questions about the program, feel free to leave them in the chat anywhere or email me, and I'll be happy to respond myself. Okay, have a wonderful day.